Good morning, this is Steve. This is a video for Dad. It's about 7 in the morning, and we have actually got some friends coming over tonight to watch the IT crowd, and I'm going to throw together some pizza dough for tonight to make pizza tonight. Here's the look outside the kitchen window. The sunrise coming up there. Anyway, I'm only halfway awake here, so I'm going to probably stumble through this, but this is our this is our old bread machine, and I'm going to use a real, mixer or whatever here, because it's so much easier and faster, and I got hiccups. Anyhow, what I'm going to do in here, you can do on a regular bread machine. It's just a pain in the ass. I've actually bought these for $3 or $4, and I just modify the motor. I put a switch on the motor so that the stirring thing in there will just turn on continuously with a switch. And then that works a lot better for just for making pizza dough if you want to have a dedicated pizza dough maker, but not really use it as a regular bread machine where it does all the timing and stuff for you. Anyway, here's in the fridge. I'm looking for some yeast that should be in here somewhere. It's been a while since I've done this. Way in the back there where it doesn't go. So I'm going to grab the little dry powdered yeast. How much do we need? Not very much. Use too much, the bread will taste really yeasty if it, I don't know, but anyway. Like maybe a couple teaspoons, something like that. That's about all you need. A tad more. I want some real bubbly yeast, or real bubbly dough, like big huge bubbles in the pizza dough. And today, what I'm going to use a 50-50 mix. This is regular all-purpose flour. I'm doing this all one-handed so I can hold this stupid phone camera, which is kind of weird, but normally I would be using both my hands to do this job. It would go a little smoother, but this is all one-handed, left-handed even. Using my good hand to hold the cell phone because I care. Jeez, little Pete's. Things are definitely harder one-handed. So this is semolina flour, which is from what, Durham wheat or something like that. Anyway, this is a really rough flour. It almost looks like cornmeal, and that just gives you some structure. It's got a lot of gluten in it, where this stuff is pretty weak. This is like for biscuits and things like that. But anyway, a good mixture of the two of them makes one of the best pizza doughs we've ever had here. So I'm just going to take like a bigger spoon than that. First thing I'm going to do, grab some warm water out of the microwave. We'll mix up that yeast. And again, one-handed, this is a pain. I'm going to take a dash of salt here out of the salt bin. Maybe a little extra salt today. So, dash of salt. Maybe a little more salt. I'm a saltaholic. Not too much more salt, but just a little more. And I don't know, maybe about a tablespoon of honey. Honey is the yeast food. We'll judge a tablespoon just by what we're dumping there on the side. Maybe a little extra honey. And some lube. Where's the lube? Here we go. Put a little mobile synthetic in here. Not too much, just enough to. I need about a teaspoon of lubricant. plenty of lube there. That was about a tablespoon. So a little bit of warm water to start out just really breaks open the yeast really good. If any of the, that's pretty old yeast, so that'll be just as good as new yeast. We'll just stir that up a little bit. That gets the yeast moving really well. Get the honey all mixed into it. So there's that mess. So now we'll come over here and grab some flour. Grab a big poop scoop here. A big scoop of Gen Purpose. A big scoop of the yellow stuff. See, another scoop of yellow. And another scoop of white. I'm dumping the rest of my water here. Let me get some more water. Okay, got some more warm water out of the microwave. And just wet that down. That might be enough water. I'm going to start mixing that up by hand here just a little bit. I want this to be really, really wet. I'm actually going to set the phone down for a sec so I can do this. At this first stage, your dough should be very, very waterlogged. You know, just really soaked. Very wet. You can see how much excess water I got in here. Just going to give that a really good stir here for a minute. Okay, so here we go. That's the wet start of the flour. I'm just going to let that sit for 20 to 30 minutes while I go take my morning shower, get all cleaned up for the day, get dressed. That's got to sit for, you know, half an hour. What this does is, this is called autolyzing. This is allowing all the different flour and especially the flour and the gluten in the flour to have a chance to really bond with the water and soften up. This is where the gluten chains. This is like we're making a plastic or a polymer. The gluten starts to form, and this is this pre-stage where you wet everything and let it soak for half an hour. Really makes a big difference in how nice and chewy and stretchy the dough comes out. And then also earlier I was mentioning the semolina flour, this yellow flour. I believe this is the same flour they make you know, spaghetti noodles from, and macaroni noodles, and just about all noodles for that matter. So you can imagine what kind of cool yumminess that's going to add to the pizza dough. Alright, we're back here at the dough. It's been about 25 minutes or so, and this stuff is really puffed up and all wet and goopy. Look, they get a little bit of a, make sure nothing's sticking to the bowl. So this dough, when it's all done, is going to be a very, very long dough, very stretchy, noodly. Not real noodly, but halfway between bread and noodles. It's going to be very, think of a Hot Sam's pretzel. That's the kind of product that comes out of this dough. Think of a pizza dough that's nice and soft and chewy, but not so chewy that you have to chew it. Another thing at this stage is always, whenever you're making anything, if it doesn't have meat in it, you can always just always be taste testing. So, actually tastes a little bit like spaghetti. Yummy, very yummy. So, here's the mixer. We'll put that in there. Again, this is really hard with only one hand. Okay, so that's in place. grab the beater tool here. We'll go through 2 of these. This initial stage here, what we're going to do is just start mixing this all up really good. And we're going to keep it very thin for a long time, probably for about 8 minutes while we mix it. We are going to add some more flour right now, but we're going to keep it a very soft, very thin dough. And this is the stage where you build the really, really long gluten chains. This is where we're making like silly putty. And then once it gets really thick, we'll put the dough hook in there and be working with a lot thicker dough. So now I'm just going to start getting this mixed up, and we're going to add some more flour in, and then we're going to stir it like crazy for 6 to 8 minutes probably. Okay, I just added a scoop of yellow and white flour. We'll mix those in. So here's where we're going to be stirring for about 6 or 8 minutes. It's still very wet, almost like a batter, but we're going to really build. See those gluten chains already beginning to form. You get a real stretchy stuff. So I went to go check a couple emails, and this stuff already turned into super gluten bread. So it's already getting extremely stretchy, and it's so thick now that I got to switch the beater to the hook instead of this batter beater. So here we are, installed the bread or dough hook. And not a bread hook, it's a dough hook. Very, very thick, very, very wet dough at this point. We're going to continue to stir it up with the dough hook, and then we'll add the 50-50 flour mix a little bit to get it to the final consistency that we want before we put it out for rising. So this is after maybe about 5 more minutes of mixing. You see it's getting very, very smooth. Very, very, still very wet, but very stretchy. So now we're adding just a little more flour. We're thickening it up now and bringing it to its final consistency that we'll use it at. When we're all done, it's still going to be quite a wet flour because these are going to be pizzas that are going in the oven at 800 degrees. And if you do conventional dough that's really kind of dry or whatever, it'll singe or burn on the edges and makes a sour taste when you do that. But it's going to be a very wet dough when it's done. Getting there, almost done. Just a little wet. Alright, so here's the dough I'm going to go with for now. Very thick. I need 2 hands to get this hook out of here. Here's another visual for you. After it settles, it'll smooth out even quite a bit more, and it'll stretch a lot more than that. So back to the dough again. I will spray a little olive oil on that. We're going to let that rise for an hour or 2. That will double to triple in size. It gets huge. It'll get much bigger than that bowl, actually. Make about 6 large pizzas. Tonight we're just going to make 2 large pizzas out of it, or out of part of it. Just have that covered now. We'll let that rise for about an hour, come back and check on it, see how it's looking in about an hour. Did I say about an hour? Twice? 3 times? Anyway, we'll be back in an hour to check on that, see how much it grows. Well, here we are. It's been about 1 hour, and this stuff grows like holy hell. I mean, look at... Anyway. So the first thing you do is... Now the olive oil helped a little bit with this plastic rack not sticking to it so bad. So... This is your first pat down stage where you basically just beat it back down. It'll rise back up again. So you just beat it. I usually just scrape the sides and it kind of comes down. Get your fingers in there, a little flour on sticky. So this is just kind of, you want to be real gentle with it. You don't beat it too hard, but it just kind of pops all the bubbles and comes back down. It'll rise back up again like that twice or sometimes 3 times. But this is a really good active dough. And I'm actually going to put it in the fridge, which will make this second rise go a lot slower. So by tonight, when the guests come over, pizza dough will be about right. Something I'll show you, I don't know if it's at the right stage yet, but pull off a little piece here. They do a really common test called a Windowpane Test. That's where you take the dough and you spread it out real thin and it becomes like a piece of paper. You can read through it. That's one of those tests you might see on TV or master bakers or whatever when they make their dough. One of the tests is if you can stretch it out thin enough that you can actually read, a magazine through the thin part of it. That's supposed to show you that you have really good, elasticity in the dough, that you can really stretch it before it starts to break open like that. So this isn't the best in the world, but this is pretty darn good. It'll make absolutely awesome pizza tonight. So this is the dough later in the evening that you saw earlier. Some pizza supplies. Here's pizza that Heather made. Conventional cook in the oven, and I got one here about to come out of the broiler, so I'll show that to you in here and as it comes out. Might rotate it once before it comes out. And I don't know if I can do this with 2 hands or not. So I've got a pizza in the broiler. It's been in there almost a minute, not quite a minute. So here's what it looks like after about we'll leave it in there for a minute. Let you see what it looks like. A 1-minute pizza in the broiler at about 800 to 900 degrees. Yep, needs to go a little further before we spin it or take it out. Alright, we're now at about 1 minute and 30 seconds. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. So we're going to pull this one out at about 1 minute and 40 seconds. Let's see what we got. There you have it, a nice broiler oven pizza. Nice and cooked. Nice and crusty on the bottom. Pretty good to go pizza. Hot pizza. So this is day 2. We didn't even use all that dough yesterday. So the next day I made 4 more personal pizzas from what was left. Really good, yummy stuff. And then there's some cheese bread made from the same dough with mozzarella, olive oil, and seasonings. And another yummy pizza. Personal size pizzas. Yep. Awesome pizza. Get the big bubbles. See that right there? So yeah. Yum. Nice and chewy and crispy when you bite into it, and you get the big bubbles in the bread.